Oh, hi guys. How are you all in this weird time we're living in right now?
We're alive.
Yeah.
Okay. We're okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was watching this film and I was so profoundly affected. I have a child. I know how tremendously terrifying that can be. This film takes it to another level. Fiona, I want to start with you. She's a really interesting character. This character you play. What was your take on her? How did you view her?
I think I gave you my view of her I am hoping that you'll have a view of her after I finish my work. So I don't know whether my view, but my her circumstance interested me. I mean, her, she is part of a huge, now diminishing group of people who are trapped in inheritance. When the obvious thing is that they should give up their houses and live comfortably elsewhere, but they cannot because they're playing to a different drum. And she's part of that. The inheritance drum is very loud in many families. And I think it torments the families and may even, diminishes their possibilities. They give up on life really in trying to hold the thing called life. And she's part of that tradition.
It's an amazing performance. I think we've all known women like this for sure.
I do, very much so. Yeah.
Very much so. No, I'm going to start with Tamara next. This is an insanely just demanding, physically, emotionally amazing performance. How? What did you do to prepare to play this to go to these levels?
I don't know. That question always makes me laugh because I don't know how to answer that. I think so many things uh kind of have a synchrony when you're in jobs like this at that particular job, because obviously there's, on one level, preparation is research, it's endowing parts of your life, it's recognizing who what about this character that you already know and already are. But then there's also like the gift of being somebody who is in the exact same situation as the person you're playing in real life anyway. So we were filming in this house in isolation, and I was living in a cottage by myself, far away, and did have periods of feeling lonely in the middle of Ireland, really far away from my anybody I knew, um, and yeah, wondering what was going to happen. So I think a lot of my preparation for Charlotte was gifted to me from just external factors anyway.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really lovely performance.
Thank you so much.
Jack, I want to jump in with you. I'm a big fan of yours. I loved your work in fighting with my family. It's just lovely performance. This character is a really interesting one. He's very layered. How did you find the balance of playing a guy that could be sympathetic, but we never know?
By Probably by feeling sorry for him myself. I
Mm,
felt horrendously sorry for him, and I know that maybe you're not supposed to judge your characters like that, but I always do, because I think everybody always is going to in the end. So why not me? So I found him. I don't know people exactly like him, but I have known people like him in temperament, and I mean, I stole the way he stands, like physically, the way he stands with his sort of arms dangling by his side. I nicked that from my uncle because I've
oh,
always found it the way he stands fascinating, where like his palms face back. But I've thoroughly enjoyed playing him, and it's the first time I've played a sort of overtly weird character.
yeah.
Uh, and I hope I get to play more because it's tremendous fun.
Well, I feel like this movie, there's been a change in horror. We're seeing a lot of very smart horror. I guess you could use the word smart from Hereditary to Get Out to this film. What appealed to you, all of you, with this script? I guess, Jack, I have you on the camera right now. What appealed to you?
On paper, it doesn't really read as horror. Um, it sort of reads as it just sort of it reads very as a very suffocating piece, very suffocating psychologically. It also reads quite funny on the paper.
Mm,
Um, so, but then I think that all sort of changed like we've been saying, as soon as we moved into that house and you put that story, those characters, in those scenes in that house and in that backdrop, it lends itself enormously to the genre of horror. I don't I don't find the film scary, maybe because I know it so much, but I find it very very suffocating and frustrating on behalf of Charlotte. And I do find it sort of quite funny sometimes as well. But ultimately entertaining, which I think is why the film was made, which I quite like. And I do like that horror is one of those genres that's still doing that, still like it's still going, no, we're going to make it because it's entertaining first and foremost. It's not trying to sort of make any kind of statement, but obviously they've moved into that now as well. But I've always loved horror for that reason. It's
Same, yeah.
unashamed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Fiona, what about you? Because this is you've done thrillers, you've done that kind of thing. What was it about this script for you that drew you in?
I've never done something quite as a thing about suspense. Normally, the film doesn't come under any heading. I mean, obviously, comedies are comedies, but the
Mm.
situation comedy. This is really unusual because Joe was so sure of what he wanted as the writer and the director, or co-writer and director. So I felt I was kind of giving myself up to this man's vision, and then I met these two, and they're such strong performers and such strong people that between those two and the house, you felt we were really being held, and by Joe's clarity. So I found it very unusual being in this film. I didn't feel there was that much room for maneuver. Actually, I mean, we obviously enhanced things and played things and changed rooms, or there's a huge house, so we could shoot wherever we like.
Yeah.
But it was very unusual for me, this film. Yeah.
That's nice. Tamara, what about you? What was the connection with Joe for you to find kind of work with this character and find the heart here?
Um, well, Joe and his co-writer, when they were writing this, had just recently had kids. Well, Joe's kids are still really young. So he spoke to me quite candidly about finding an emotional heart in somebody who fundamentally just doesn't want children, and to kind of um, be okay with that, especially as a young woman. The fact that actually this person, doesn't sees a child as a hindrance to her life, and for whatever reason is triggered intensely by her own childhood, which were interesting things to think about. But I think also I was drawn to Joe's the sort of excitement he had about the ambiguity that the film could potentially give to the audience, and so I really trusted that he um, had such strong kind of visual concepts that even though doing certain things out of chronology sometimes felt like it was the same scene over and over again, or he was like, no, trust me, because I know what the film I want to make, this will make sense here. And so up until I watched it, I actually wasn't sure how it would come across at the end, which was really interesting, and I think is what one of the last sort of 10 minutes really makes the film.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic film, and what I find it interesting is that this is his feature film directorial debut. That a lot of times people kind of stumble over themselves trying to make the right film, but this is a very assured tale. Did you feel that? It sounds like he really knew who he was going in, and just that's amazing. That's amazing to me. Did you both feel that as well, Fiona and Jack?
He's a cinematographer as well, so he even knew the shots he wanted. I mean, he again negotiated with his cinematographer, but he really understood the camera. So and so much about that style is about camera.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's tricky to find a director that is good at both the visuals and the character development and finding the humanity in the story, which I feel like he really succeeds here because this is a story that people can relate to. Uh, the house, where is the house located? I mean, this is beautiful location.
It's outside Portlaoise, and it's just about 40 miles from Dublin. It's just inland. It's in a very flat, rather boring part of the country, and it's sort of lost part of the country. It's not in any way typical. So it was able to not be an Irish countryside. It was able to sort of represent some Scotland, which was also with a much more dazzling countryside. But at least it wasn't typically Irish, so it didn't get trapped there.
Well, guys, we got to wrap it up, but you made a really beautiful film. All of you are fantastic in it, and it was a pleasure to view. And yeah, Fiona, you got it. You got the performance. It's beautiful. So thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.